Steve Strick, Kathy Helbig-Strick in studio
Yes.
today. Is our lighting on for you guys too today? Is that
This
light
one
on?
is, yes.
Yeah, gosh,
It's looks like your head to me right now. When I'm
yeah. Maybe we
black
have
head.
the lights down a little bit today. I wanted to see you guys look very, very tan
Are we
today.
illuminating?
It must be the white
It's standing
shirts.
next to him.
You always look.
We'd love to have you
fantastic.
guys in as a team. You guys were a big hit last week, that's for
Well,
sure.
good.
Thank you,
good,
thank
good.
you.
More fun together.
Okay, Scotty.
We have lights.
No, that's well.
Whoa.
I'm on fire now, Scotty. I'm sure I hit it perfect.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm sure I hit that light today. Anyway, guys, welcome into studio. Thanks. You guys are a husband, wife. You've got kids.
Don't tell me.
That's
Yeah.
not
You guys do. I mean,
Yes.
you see headlines. I mean, what do you make of all? This week it's tragic. Are your friends in your
Tragic.
communities talking about things that happen at these schools?
Yeah. Very, very sad. It's hits home because especially for me, I went to little Christian schools like that. My kids went to little Christian schools like that where there's 6 to 12 people in the classroom. So it really felt disheartening to think somebody, I guess she went to school there.
She had been a prior student, yes.
So it must be that, I don't know, to think somebody harbored something for that long to go back and do something so tragic is awful.
Yeah,
It
and
is.
you keep hearing one phrase, and I think we really have to pay attention to it. We have to do better. It's cliche, but we have to do better.
We do.
How do we do better?
Yeah.
Great question.
That's what we talk about it all the time. I said, hey, let's start actually enforcing gun laws.
Yeah.
We had a gun owner on the show, guys. Whether people agree with guns, have them in their house or not, whatever, from Metro Shooting Supply. And he's like, if people really wanted to do something about gun crimes, the first thing that would happen is, he said, the FBI would actually return my phone calls about, now this one doesn't apply to what happened with this woman, but to go through the thick stack of denials that we have of people trying to purchase guns that we find out eventually somewhere down the road get guns. I know that doesn't apply to this, but let's start there and then come in and start attacking all of these people.
Right.
But he's like, to me, I don't know if there's a concern to even stop gun violence or guns when I contact the FBI and they don't come to my place.
Well, my thought was, how does 5 different stores sell somebody guns like that and it not be like a national database or something,
and it is. And
how do they
it
not
is.
how does that not get flagged?
Because the way that I understand it, because my son buys a lot of weapons, he has a collection of guns, is when he goes and he buys a new gun, and he'll buy several, they'll say, okay, well, it takes longer. He has to fill out his application, show his ID. They go through the process. They do the background check. But when you buy more weapons, it just takes longer. So, he might be there for 30 minutes versus 5 minutes. But what about the parents' accountability? Because this girl, her parents, knew something was going on. They were worried about her having weapons. They had talked to family members.
They didn't know if she had it.
And they didn't know.
Maybe if she's in counseling, or she was in counseling. If you enter counseling, shouldn't that alert something as well?
I think it should.
Yeah.
I think it should alert something, and that's where I was going to go. It's not necessarily the guns. Of course, accessibility to them can cause some of these issues, but it's mental health.
It is absolutely mental health. And there's, every time we talk,
a parent can't always. They're not going to assume their child is going to go kill people. So,
of course, you don't.
In
you
some
don't
cases,
think so.
there's signs, and they don't want to open their eyes. And I think in others, they just.
Have you guys ever said thoughts and prayers to somebody when somebody's died, or whether it was from natural causes, or
of course,
absolutely,
yeah. Did you hear? We started talking about, before we get into the real estate aspect. It hit us hard today. There are now national journalists and people in local communities saying, "F your thoughts and prayers.
Wow.
We need gun control. All guns gone, all guns away." You're going to hear it. Now that I told you about this, you're going to hear it, or you're going to see it if this comes up.
I said to him when we were watching the iHeartRadio music show and Lenny Kravitz came out and said, do better. I said, you notice it's now, it used to be pray for Nashville, and that wasn't even spoken, not once through that show. And it's like, again, I said earlier, I grew up in a Christian school. I'm a Christian. I believe prayer being taken out of everything and God being taken out of everything is really where a lot of all this.
You're so
is.
controversial.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Come on, cancel this. I can say that.
And you're so right. We
Here come the
talked about that
comments.
earlier. If we had more prayer,
Yes.
more prayer, more focus on Christianity, more of these Christian revolutions we're seeing across the country, maybe we wouldn't be in this place to begin with.
No, because here's what I believe. Sorry, Ann. I believe that when you lose hope of what this life has to offer, nobody's holding you accountable for anything after this
That's
life.
right.
There's
So
no
then
value
you
of
go
life.
do whatever
Right.
the hell you want to do. You don't value life because you're miserable, you're sad, you're depressed, you have mental health issues. Why not kill myself and other people? Because there's nothing here after that.
That's right.
That's profound.
You
No, it
know,
is.
so if you don't have something that is holding you on track and holding you accountable and getting you through to that other side, listen, there's something bigger than this life that I've got to stand in judgment for. Maybe I wouldn't go shoot up a school. Maybe I wouldn't kill myself.
That's
But
right.
I think that's what the problem is we've lost all hope and all we can see is what is in front of us in this life.
And and people don't, and I'm sure this girl didn't either, but they're not thinking about, well, what comes after this life?
Exactly.
Where do we go from
Right.
here? And if I make
Exactly.
this mistake or this mistake, this is it, or I'm going to go somewhere really
Right.
bad versus somewhere really
Yeah.
good. Too many people don't realize that what we're doing right now, this is just a blip in the timeline of
That
our
is
soul.
right.
And we have to do better in this life.
Mhm.
But more gun control, more gun legislation is not necessarily the answer. Because if this person really wanted to harm other people,
Mhm.
and like somebody on the comment line said, she had threatened family members that weren't accepting her,
Exactly.
they're going to find a way. They
Yeah.
will
Dude,
find a
and
way.
that's where it has to be reported, even if
Yeah.
it's your
And
own child.
That's where we have to do better. And even if it's your friend, if your friend is a little off
Ugh.
and they're saying some things,
Mhm.
I saw something last night on the news to where the gun person, I'll say gun person, text her best friend
Yes.
right before it.
Mhm.
I
And
saw
she
those
called
texts.
the police, it called the authorities.
Yes.
But what about calling some people before it gets to that point?
Mhm.
It's tough to do.
Yeah.
It really is. But
Mhm.
And there are always signs. Every time we sit
There
here
are signs.
and we talk about these cases and we talk about these shootings, we all go back and we look, oh, there were signs. They did
Oh,
this,
right.
they did this. They talked to these people, and these people, they were in counseling, or they wrote these manifestos, or they were posting crazy stuff on social media. There are always signs, but people
Mhm.
continue to ignore the signs.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
you have to do something, even on a lower level. It was tough for me because one of my children was suffering with some mental illness,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
refused to
Right.
accept it.
Right.
Mhm.
And it was one of the hardest things that I've ever had to do. Is like, no, we're going to start checking things out.
Yes.
And then dealing with that and trying to get acceptance. It's not easy.
Mm.
And that's why I know I can speak to it, because I had to make that call on a lesser level,
Mhm.
but you never know.
Right.
You never know. I mean, just because somebody's your child doesn't mean something bad can't happen at some point in time, which is
Mhm.
why you have to attack it.
And it's that fine line between protecting your child and reporting your child, or doing the right steps to protect
Right.
other people.
Yes.
It's a very difficult position for
It is.
parents.
It is.
Well,
It is.
speaking,
you don't want your child to think that you're against them either.
no,
by
it's
calling it out.
ugh.
That's right.
Tough.
Speaking of prayer, what about people praying for more properties to open up?
Jeez,
I
pray
am.
That's
harder.
me every single day.
Please
Me
pray
and
more.
our
You're on your hands and knees this morning.
Yes, for
Sweet baby
sure,
Jesus,
for sure.
please let the properties
We did see a
expand.
little tick up.
What's
and
the latest, guys?
Yeah, we've
like
reached over
4.
400 right now. So those upper threes, we've broken through the 400 barrier.
And
this
that's
week.
throughout the St. Louis metropolitan area.
This local area. But I did talk about briefly, I threw out a data. So remember I said there's a date in April that's going around, like the best day.
Oh, yeah.
I said the best day to buy. It's actually the best week to sell.
Eric, get in here.
Oh,
Eric.
I see.
Eric's off camera.
He's
Eric,
just out there lounging
Say it for
around.
him.
Eric, we
No.
need you to come on in right now. We're talking about something we
Talking
talked about
about
last week.
That date we talked about, not the best day to buy, because that's in January.
The best day to
The
sell. Because
best
I remember
day to
Eric talking about
sell.
this last week.
The best day to list, it's actually the week. The best week to list your house is coming up, according to Realtor.com, is April 16th through the 22nd.
Because you got to pay your taxes.
2.5 weeks.
Does
So
that have
yeah.
anything to do with taxes? Or is that just
taxes
coincidence?
do play into it, believe it or not. We do see a surge in people writing contracts right after they get their tax returns, for sure. But it's also the beginning, historically, the beginning of the spring quote market. You see all of the trees just in the last week in St. Louis have all of a sudden bloomed.
Oh,
And
but
that's-
don't get Tabitha going. She was complaining about frost this morning.
Killing all the blooms. And, that's such a good time for people to sell, because then
Yeah.
people see their properties at their best, at their prettiest,
Exactly.
with all the pretty flowers and the
colors
trees.
are bright. outside. Everything's coming to
Curb
life.
appeal.
Yeah.
The weather is getting people itchy to go out. So it just all things are working together at the same time. So they say that typically sellers will do better, fare better in that week versus earlier in the year.
Nice. Isn't it a little? Am I cynical thinking that these prices coming down is a healthy thing? Am I cynical thinking that? Because I'm seeing that. I know that they're going down in San Francisco and up in Florida. I don't know really what they're doing here.
That's not a rubber stamp for what we hear the headlines of prices are going down, because that's not the case everywhere.
Right.
But the high places, they're starting to see them go down. Yeah, like you said, Florida's still booming. We're not really seeing, except in some pockets or some, exceptions of houses of prices going backwards.
Yeah.
We're just seeing maybe you're not able to inflate at the rate that we were seeing last year when you're bringing a house on this year.
Yeah.
There's not much out there. You said what, 400? I've literally looked at all of them.
I know.
Every single one of them. And I keep seeing the same ones pop up over and over every single day.
Yeah.
I get an alert every morning of the houses for sale.
Yeah.
And not just here, but all across Missouri, all across parts of Illinois. There's nothing out there. What do people do
if
you're
you're
looking
have
to
be
buy?
hawking it or have your agents hawking it, because it's kind of like the dating apps.
It is.
They're like, oh, there's nobody left in this dating pool. And then,
That sounds like
That
St.
is the
Louis.
funniest thing you've ever said.
That sounds like St. Louis.
I know, that's what I hear all the time. And then it's like the one guy or the one girl gets divorced and they show up on that dating app. It's like, rah!
And everybody's
That
swiping
is
right.
exactly what it is.
Or
The
left or
houses
whatever
right
it is.
now. So
Yeah, that's funny.
you never know when that new blood's coming on
Yeah.
the scene, like on the dating apps. You've got to be watching every single day for that new house to pop on the market.
Yeah, man.
It's crazy.
I also brought up last week about escalation clauses. We talked a little about that, and you said you'd never heard of that before.
Right, correct.
So there's a little more, like we just had a discussion at our office this couple of days ago, yesterday actually. And the question is, there's in some states it's considered illegal to use escalation clause. Missouri is not a state that says it's illegal yet. I don't know if they will or not. But apparently there's some parent companies of some of the real estate brokerages that are coming against the policy of using escalation clauses right here in St. Louis.
Yeah.
So that got me thinking yesterday, like we've already run into a situation where somebody at that company made an offer on one of our houses won out of escalation, and then they're mad because, well, we don't get to use escalation clauses. We don't feel like they're ethical or they're legal.
Yes.
But now my buyers just lost the house because of it. So that
when is legislation going to come in to combat that?
I don't know.
We need it. We need it desperately. We need to. If it says it needs, there needs to be. Are you talking about BlackRock and like those companies coming in?
No. I'm talking about you want the same house. It
has nothing to do with. Okay.
No. You both want the same house. Let me just explain that again for people that hadn't heard my original explanation. If you make an offer on a house, let's say it's $350,000, and you want the same house, and you also will pay higher for it.
Yep.
You're going to say she puts an offer in at $360.
Yep.
You put an offer in at $360, but I'll go $10,000 higher than the next highest offer, not to exceed blank.
Yeah.
So you're coming in at a lower price, but saying
it's like eBay.
Escalate.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
Up to blank if there's another buyer. Now, if there's not another buyer that triggers that, then you got your $360.
Or you just say, well, yeah, we had another buyer, and they go up to $360.
You got to show proof, which is where some of that's coming into play, that they're saying is illegal, because an offer that's made by a buyer, typically that buyer is not, that the terms are not supposed to be disclosed without permission from that buyer in some areas.
Yeah.
So that's part of the legality that they're falling onto as well. If you're using her offer, if I'm using her offer to get yours up, I have to show you her offer. Now we redact personal information, but you can't redact the terms.
What's
so
to keep
depending
you from a
on
friend?
the state laws, you would be sued if that ever came out. You would be sued.
That is the weirdest thing.
That's another reason for sure, because it can be erroneous contracts.
Yeah.
But that's kind of the rub. And then that got me thinking, I don't know what the answer is, because it is still illegal in Missouri. I mean, still legal. I'm sorry, legal in Missouri. And people are using that strategy.
Well, I don't understand. Why can't, with digital out there the way it is, why can't it be? This is my asking price, $370. and you put it online. You say it in 2 weeks at the stroke of midnight, we're going to have a bidding war. If it gets up to 375 because it was bidded on, all that, and the last man standing wins that thing.
There are places in the world that actually
Some-
sell homes that way by auction.
Some
Yeah.
places that's not allowed either.
Why?
Damn.
Why? That makes so much sense.
You
It's
have to do an
transparent.
actual auction
Right.
and not list the house for sale. It would have to.
There's
be
a. Have
They
you
do
ever?
that. They do that
site.
here in Missouri. I know somebody.
You
who-
can list your house for auction.
Yeah, I know somebody who just got into the real estate market, and they're working for some company that does auctions instead
Right.
of listing it
But
for
see, that's a
sale.
specialty.
In Europe.
and
Yeah,
there's a
it
certain
is.
way of doing it.
It's very odd the way that
Right.
it works.
Yes.
It's and I'm not saying it's bad.
I
or
tell you
good,
what,
it's
it
different.
needs to be transparent for the buyers because is it time for us to go back to the lawmakers and say we have to deal with a lot of things. First of all, these conglomerates, they have unlimited money that they can boost these prices up to X amount more than it's actually worth, right? Because they're just going to rent it out forever. And then number two, what you're talking about, escalation, where we could actually have a bidding system, like I just said.
Yeah.
If you're going to say, look, I have to get 370 out of this, but if you guys want to bid on it, whoever gets it at the end.
My concern with our market,
Yeah.
it being legal, but yet a big group is saying we're not going to allow it because our parent company is not allowing it, right? That's not in St. Louis. So my question is, if some people are allowing it and some people aren't,
Yeah.
how does that work for the consumer?
It's like you guys don't have a
Playing
set of
field's not
rules.
e-
You don't have a set of rules,
Yeah.
do you?
Right.
Because what if I worked for that company that said we're not going to allow you to do escalation
Yeah.
clauses, and then I'm losing out every single time I write a contract for my buyer? Is that buyer being represented?
Yes. No,
I
they're
mean, I
not.
don't know. Should they go somewhere
It's confusing.
else? It is.
Let me ask you another question. This came up in actually last week. If you're a realtor and your whole job is to make money, commission, it's hard. You're not on an hourly. Can you be a realtor and make a commission off this concrete guy, off of the landscaping guy? Can you say, I know these guys,
Sure.
I'm not making phone calls for you for free. It's a 10% commission. Maybe charge the concrete person. Can you get in that business and say, I'm making my commission off the house, but I also have all these other services because of the relationships that I
like
own.
a kickback for
A
recommendation.
kickback. A kickback. Say, I'll tell you
Can
what.
you? Yes. Disclosure. is
Ethical?
important.
It also depends which
Ethically,
industry.
Yeah. If it,
What's that mean? Which
For
industry?
instance, if it's the mortgage business.
Mortgage business.
That's one of the things that we're doing right now is we're building a model to where the everyday real estate agent can participate in the mortgage money if they get licensed.
How about that?
Right?
If
And it's
you get
disclosed.
licensed.
Because here's the
And
deal.
it's-
And it's disclosed
So
because here's the
settlement
deal.
services have to be.
What a great idea.
Those are regulated.
What a
The
great
whole
And the
industry is
real estate
changing.
agent brings the deal
Yes.
to
Yes.
the mortgage person, brings the deal to the appraiser, brings the
Yes.
deal to the
Love it.
landscaper, brings the deal to the
Yes.
concrete guy, brings the deal to the insurance.
Yes.
Do they get anything for taking this deal,
Yeah.
producing it, and then presenting
Yeah.
it to all these other
No,
services?
you know who
They
gets
do
it?
not.
The broker.
The broker.
We
So
want
realtors
broker,
all
owner,
over
or the
America who are watching are
brokerage.
standing up clapping if they go put the work in.
Yeah.
get
Yeah.
licensed.
So the-
Yes,
But this is
yes.
perfect for millennials and Gen Zers
Yes.
who are all about affiliate marketing right now,
affiliated services.
right? Affiliate services. And now I have a data list of this is the money I'm making off the house's sale.
Right.
But look at all the, I'm going to open their pool. I'm going to put new electric in there.
It's
I
a
mean,
very slippery
So
slope.
it
it's
is a slippery
compliant
slope.
and disclosed,
Tabitha,
you're right.
Tabitha's always negative. Don't listen
That's
to her.
not being negative.
It's a
She's
slippery
right.
slope when you start dealing with a lot of those things. Now, I do believe mortgage and title and things like that. It's easier. It's better a lot of times when you're dealing with someone ethical, and that's
Yeah.
the question.
Yeah.
That is
Dealing
the
with
big
someone
question
that's ethical.
because not everyone is as scrupulous
Right.
as you guys are.
Right.
You have a lot of people out there who are not
Yes.
ethical, and it's a very slippery slope because
Yes.
you don't know who you can trust.
Right.
You know,
And on the agent side of it, you're opening yourself up for a lot more scrutiny and ruining the relationship because I've seen it. I've seen
But-
it for years. You refer an inspector. I'm not referring you an inspector because he's
I'm
not
so
gonna
glad you said
find
that.
Well, wait a
things.
minute.
when you're done with this, I have to ask you
Okay.
a question
I'm
about
going to
that.
Tabitha,
refer
I'm gonna
you an
And then I have one
inspector.
question.
Wait.
Hang on. I'm
Eric,
going
you're
to refer
done.
you an
No, I'm kidding.
inspector.
But I'm going
because-
to help you
I'm
out.
kidding.
I'm going to help you
because
out.
I've worked with these different companies in
Yeah.
the past, and they've done good work. and their reports are easy to understand.
Yeah.
Maybe they're not the red flags guy that's like, oh my God,
Yeah.
freaking people out over nothing. That's something that's
Yeah.
a good thing. That's not a bad thing. But I'm not telling you I like X, Y, and Z inspector because he's not going to find stuff, which is what people want to assume. Oh,
Right.
they sent me this inspector
also need to
because
have
he's
a
going to be
choice.
easy.
Yeah.
That's
The
not
consumer
it.
needs to have a
But
choice.
all day long, as soon as something goes wrong, guess who's on the
Right.
chopping block?
Exactly.
You
Exactly.
referred me that inspector, and he
Yeah.
missed that there was a hole in the shingle.
Yeah.
That was me one
know?
time, Kathy.
Me too.
I was
Me
that.
too.
I was that
I'm
disgruntled home buyer.
telling you.
I'm sorry.
I was this person
feel shame.
yesterday.
The second house
But
I bought. I was,
it's true. But it's
Yeah.
not the agent over there going, don't put that hole in the shingle down on the
Yeah.
report. It's really,
Yeah.
truly not.
This literally happened to me yesterday. Is my family's trying to buy houses, not here, but out in the country, far out in southern Missouri. And one of the houses that we found, because we've just had nothing but mishaps. There's just everything going
I
wrong.
know you give me
Everything.
a story every week.
Every week.
Tabitha drama has.
It is. It's a different house every week because something doesn't work out. And so this particular house, the real estate agent out in this area in the country referred the inspector.
Mhm.
But what was weird is they said, well, you can't be there when the inspector is there. You can only get there at the end when they're
That's
done.
weird. That's
That
not
is
true.
weird.
And we thought, well, that's really strange. And so
That's not
exactly. So my mom, who's looking for this house, went
Mhm.
out anyway. And what's crazy
Good
is
for
the
her.
inspection was really bad. It's like everything
Mhm.
was wrong with this house.
Yes.
And we're like, okay, well, why didn't the agent just say ahead of time, these are the problems with the house? Why do you have to
Mhm.
get an inspector
Mhm.
to find out that these are the problems when they already knew? Is there some kind of
Yes, there is
disclosure about that?
laws. Yes, for sure. And so when you buy the house, you ask for a seller's disclosure. Does a seller have to fill out the actual Missouri form? No, they don't have to. But there's still disclosure laws in Missouri that if you are aware of some material defect to a house, you are supposed to, you have the obligation to disclose. Now you can say, maybe I don't know. I'm not going to climb up on my roof and
Yeah.
see it has a hole in the shingle.
Yeah.
So the fact that I didn't disclose that is not on
Mhm.
me as the seller because I don't have actual knowledge of
Yeah.
a material defect.
Yeah.
So it depends.
It's not about that. It's just looking at because
But if somebody should
Well, it costs
have
you
known
money. That's the
or
problem.
It does.
known, that's when you get into, hey, we spent all this money on an appraisal, inspections, all this stuff. And then you should have known by the bucket in your living room and
Yeah.
the stains all over the
Yeah.
floor that you threw a carpet over that your roof was leaking.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because
that's an issue.
it does.
But
It costs money to keep having inspections and
Correct.
appraisals when an
And you
agent
can make a
knew
claim for
ahead of
those.
time.
yeah,
type
but
of
see, that's
thing
why
in a
we need
disclosure.
a home buyer's
Who
bill
wants
of rights.
lawsuit for that, right?
Home buyer bill of rights. Give me a legislator on the phone right now. I'm going to
We're
talk.
talking with
Give me-
Kathy Helbig-Strick, Steve Strick, Kathy of
Give me
Experience Real
Parson right
Estate,
now.
We're
I need
gonna
to
make
talk.
Expect to
Kathy
be
and-
moved.
Yes, we're going to make them legislatures.
Yeah.
Hey, Kathy, from our chat line in Michigan, what's the best way to find a real estate agent
We have some.
in Michigan?
In Michigan, actually, I know a bunch of people in
You do?
Michigan, so I can refer you to some of
So
the
it's word of
Robert,
mouth.
top
Robert,
people,
I'll get the Robert.
Yeah.
I'll hook you two
Yeah,
up,
hit me up, 'cause
after
I've
the
got
show.
several for you to pick.
Hey,
from.
we don't have a lot more time left, but I had to. Did you guys hear about celebrities selling their mansions in Los Angeles because of a new tax?
Oh,
See, now I look at Steve and Kathy, and
Uh-oh.
I think you guys should have your own show. Like I see real estate people doing shows.
yeah.
Mhm.
All at Bravo, whatever. I could see you guys doing this. Here's like you would be selling Jim Carrey's house.
Mm.
Jim Carrey, Britney Spears, Mark Wahlberg, all
Yeah.
Jenner.
Yeah.
One of them.
Britney Spears needs to sell her house. I'm sorry. I'm tired of looking at that. Same,
I think
They're
she
all-
Look at
did.
that same foyer that she dances in.
Well,
every
they've
single
all
day.
been.
I think she
yeah,
did sell it.
Kylie Jenner. They've all put their properties on the market now. They're trying to sell all of their homes in California because they have a new tax that's coming down.
Mhm.
Check this out. It blew my mind. I saw this yesterday. What happens? It's called the Measure ULA tax. It's going to require sellers of properties of more than $5 million to pay a 4% transfer tax.
Ouch.
Mm.
And they're like,
Ouch.
hell no. Then on sales of $10 million or more, paying a 5.5% tax, which all funds raised going towards public housing.
Wow.
Yeah, what?
Not cool.
The city's
I hate that
aiming
you
to
don't sell
raise
that
way.
$1 billion from the sales in an effort to tackle homelessness.
You're saying
Wait a minute.
California's raising their taxes again?
Again.
Unbelievable.
Celebrities can't
That's
afford
crazy.
the taxes.
Celebrities
Who the
are
heck can
even getting
afford
out
those
of
taxes?
LA now.
Right.
It's called communism.
Mesh, you can go buy a house.
Wow.
Dr. Mesh Bagway joining us in just a little bit as well. I mean,
It's communism. When you take money from one person to fund it to a lower class of people, that's actually what communism is.
damn, it is.
That's Tabitha Hassel, ladies and gentlemen. Good job.
That's what a lot of these tax programs are about. They're about taking money from you that works and giving it to you somewhere over there that does not work. That's exactly what communism is about.
You know, they're giving $5 million to the good people of San Francisco for reparations, so maybe they need it for that as well.
Here in
They
St.
got
Louis,
to come up with a lot of money in California.
Eric, one of the board members,
They got to
even
come
said
up with a
they
lot of
don't-
money.
One of the board members who voted yes on it said, I really don't have any idea how we're going to do
Well,
it.
you just told them you're going to basically sell Drew Carey's house and get some money. That's how you're going to do it.
I like
So.
it.
Hey, anything else you guys want to jump in today before we get out of here from the mortgage
Got anything
standpoint,
on?
from the real estate standpoint?
Oh, rates went down a little bit.
Wait a minute. Talk
Rates
about
go
that.
up and they go down.
I
was just gonna
Up
say
and
they
go
went
down.
up.
Hold on.
Kathy,
Talk
Steve's,
about it.
Steve's like, I don't know if I want to
I
go
was like,
there.
I
They
know.
did.
Now we're gonna get all these comments. Rates went down. They're still floating around 7%.
That's too high. It's too high.
It's high.
It's like
But
cholesterol.
everybody's thinking
It's-
because the Fed raised,
But we can control
that,
our
that
cholesterol.
it
Yeah.
affected the mortgage rates too, but they went up, down, up, down, up, down. So it's not exact.
I always wondered this. Why can't you guys just say, you know what? I don't care what the national average is. We're 3%. That we're going to take that's where we're going to live. And that's
Because our money is sold on the back end.
Mhm.
It all has to go hand in hand. Now there are we
That-
don't
I don't
have time to
understand
get
it at
into
all.
but there are
At
definitely
all.
ways
Another
that you
time.
can buy down.
Eric, even I get that.
Yeah.
I don't understand the goofiness
talk
of the
about that.
Fed and all that
Yeah.
stuff.
We'll talk about
Yeah,
that
we
because
can
most
go
people
that.
don't.
And
Yeah.
goofiness is the right word. But you know what? People can still buy houses. My family,
Yes.
we're still buying a house.
Yep.
And you know what we're going to do? We're going to take your advice.
Yes.
And 6 months,
later.
8 months, 9 months down the road, refinance it.
Yeah, their company's doing what, rate free?
Yeah, for 5 years.
For 5 years.
Mhm.
So
So
gives you
how does that?
options.
I know I got too many questions.
Eric, you get one more question.
So, all right, let's say I go in at 7. I have my dream house, and it's a house that I really can't afford, right? Let's say I want to pay $2,700 a month for it, but it ends up being $3,900 a month. And I take your advice.
Mhm.
How long do I have until I can do that? Well, let's say the rates just go down in 2 weeks. Can I refinance at that 2-week level? How does that work? And then do I have to go through all the submitting of paperwork again?
You know,
Or-
it depends if you change lenders or if you use the same lender, and then certain documents are time sensitive. So, I mean, some documents are good for 90 days or
Okay.
20 days. So,
But it never happens in
you may
90
have to
days, right?
refresh those. There's also things called early payoff period, to where, you know, a lender sells their servicing rights to another lender to service the loan, and then they'll have to pay back the commission. So they want you to keep the loan for 6 months. If you service your own loans
Yeah.
and your own mortgages, you have some flexibility on that. But
Yeah.
Per the consumer, you can refinance immediately.
Okay.
I love having you two on together.
Yes.
Thank
This is cool. If you guys can make this
do
happen
it
more
again.
often. Eric, you missed our whole gun talk too.
Well,
We
no,
talked
I
guns,
love-
we talked tragedy.
Yeah.
You guys kind of offered all. We're
Yeah.
and thanks for being honest and
Yeah.
being who you guys are and being real. And
Thanks for giving us a platform to do that.
Yeah, I'm just thinking out loud. I think you need to start a show called Selling LA, and I think that would be
Selling LA.
fabulous.
Lower Arnold?
I think there is one.
Yeah, Lower Arnold.
I thought I saw that. Oh my God.
Yeah, here's a $50,000 home you can own right now.
There's nothing wrong with
Arnold's
that.
a beautiful
Oh,
suburb
yes.
in St. Louis.
I'm sure it is.
It's like,
It is. Eric,
No, it
there's a
is.
lot of
I-
new properties.
In St. Louis.
Who doesn't
That's a
want to
big
buy a
name
cheap
in
house?
LA.
Let's go. I'll go right
Oh
now.
my God. Kathy Helbig Strict. Expect me to move. Kathy Helbig Experience Real Estate Partners, 314-276-SOLD, 314-276-SOLD. And Steve, if you could remind everybody of the company you're working for now and exactly what you're doing and how they can contact you, since we don't have the info on the screen.
sure. I am a vice president, New American Funding. And if you need my contact information, just put it in the chat and we'll get it to you. How about that?
Bingo.
Love it.
That easy. Guys, Kathy and Steve, we appreciate you joining us
Thank you.
today.
Thank you,
Thank you.
guys.
Have an awesome Wednesday. We love to have those
That's awesome.
chats.
I know,
It
man.
is good with them. I love
I could